Okay. No, fuck. I'm eating some amazing food. Y'all ever had Franks and beans? Muy caliente. I don't even know what the fuck I just said. But, I'm back. Look, hold your applause. Hold your applause. I'm back. Now, Pete, today, I'm gonna hit y'all with a story time. And this is gonna be my story about my first times being around weed. So, y'all remember the story about the girl who my nigga put Dirty Max on, right? Alright, you're following. So, that chick, we broke up or whatever. 2 years later, don't ask me why I did this, but 2 years after our relationship, I became her friend again. Don't ask me why I did it. I just did it. Alright? Peep. Muy caliente. I don't really know Spanish like that. I'm just talking shit. But, so I became her friend 2 years later, right? And at the time that I was her friend, she was fucking. Woo! Almost dropped my water all over the place. Luckily, though, I'm like that. So, it didn't spill all over the floor. Even if it did, I would have caught every single drop. But, Pete, shorty was fucking around with a pedophile, right? And when I say that, I am not exaggerating. Her and I were both 17. The guy she was fucking with, grown-ass man, was 28. What? Oh, hell no! Someone who just turned 17, by the way, mind you. So don't ask me why I was hanging out with her or why I put myself in this situation. I guess sometimes a nigga just likes to put himself in danger so he can feel something. You know what I mean? I forgot what I named her in my last video, but I'm gonna call her Kai. I'm in Kai's car, right? Now, Kai knows I don't smoke. She knows I don't fuck with weed. My whole mindset going into this, right, is I'll only really try it when I'm 21, because then it won't fuck with my brain. You know what I mean? I didn't want it to fuck with how I think about things for the rest of my life, right? She's all like, oh, Davion, you don't smoke, right? I'm like, no. And then she's like reminding people I don't smoke. Keep this in mind. She then hotboxes her car. And she keeps doing, like, she literally keeps doing it, right? And me, I don't give a fuck. So I'm breaking the box by opening the door over and over again. Because I told shorty I don't smoke. I do not smoke. And she knows this. She knows this. So I'm here mad confused as to why she's doing this. So she's doing that. And then her and this pedophile start puff passing, right? And then she passes this dirty, musty, wet, cheese touch ass joint to me. I go to her, bitch, you know I don't smoke. But she's like, please. I'm like, no. She's like, please? I'm like, no. She goes, pretty please? Let me think. No. And she's like, please, please, please. So she's begging me to try it. So then I figure initially she's not going to shut the fuck up at all. She's just going to keep begging me. So I take this dirty, musty, crusty joint. I touch it with my lips and immediately, it's like, why is this shit so wet? That shit was wet as fuck. And I'm like, pause, by the way, pause. Right? In my head, I'm like, this is crazy because I'm not a smoker. I already told her that. She already knows that. Right? But I take it and I hold in the weed in my mouth. Pass it back and I blow it out of my mouth. I never inhale it. She looks to the pedophile and she's like, see, I'm a master manipulator.
Sorry, man.
I'm gonna tickle you again.
Wouldn't let that shit happen to me, though.
I, broke the car open and I ran away. I did. Because that was crazy. That was my first experience with it. Still don't smoke. My second experience was with this girl I was talking to. Let's call her Mandy. So, Mandy was a heavy smoker. She knew and respected the fact that I didn't smoke, though. So every time we hung out, she sat opposite of me, like on the far corner of her room, so that she could, light up whatever she was lighting up. However, my mindset did change a little bit because I was always curious. So one time, I tell Mandy, I'm like, yo, could I try it, right? So she's like, yeah, you sure? And I'm like, yeah, let me puff. And then she's like, okay. She passes it to me. She's like, take in a shallow breath. And I did. Took in a shallow breath. And it burned my throat. That was something that happened last time, too. It burned my throat. Which was like a very nasty sensation one that I hate, that is one of the reasons I'm never gonna smoke. And I took in that small inhale and it burned my throat, but I didn't feel anything. So what I did is, after that, I took in a deep breath. I took in a real deep breath. I said, and I start coughing. I start coughing crazy. Mind you, this is the first time I've ever actually like taken in any kind of like weed like that, and I'm coughing until the next week. However, I still didn't feel anything, and I moved on with my life. Next time I would try weed, or be close enough to try it, willing to try it, me and Z was talking, and it was the one night we hung out. Y'all remember Z? From my last story, from my from one of my first story times when I started uploading, that crazy shorty. She was into drugs. Like I said, she was really into drugs. And when we hung out, she had a blunt on her or something. And that specific night, I was willing to try it with her, because I wanted to, like, first see if it'd feel like anything, and also I wanted to enter her world. Like, I was dead ass in love with this chick, off rip. So she hands me the blunt, asks me if I have a lighter. I say I don't. She's like, I do, right? She takes it out. However, it is very windy that night. It is extremely windy. So she's trying to light the blunt, and she literally can't, because of how windy it was, how cold it was. I told you, this was the coldest night of the year. And, you know, that never happened. But the fact that I was that down to just try weed because I thought shorty was pretty is crazy. That shit is insane. Of course, I've never been that down bad ever again in my life. But that's a little short snippet. The last time on this list that I've ever been around weed, tried weed, or anything like that, also happens to be the last time. I was about to say the last time I tried weed also happens to be the last time I tried weed. What am I talking about? So, last year, I was off from school. I took a mean little gap year, and I met this other nigga I'll call him Zeke. So, me, my brother David, and Zeke spent all of the gap year, all of last year basically together. And we were hanging out. We were going all types of places. The biggest thing we did, last time we all hung out together, we planned a trip and went all the way to New Jersey with an Airbnb. And we stayed there for 2 weeks. And during those 2 weeks, sometimes in Jersey, it was fire. I'll give you a more in-depth story on Jersey or whatever later. But during those 2 weeks, there were times when it got boring. You know what I mean? And me and Zeke had been talking before, because Zeke uses like medical weed or whatever, edibles and stuff. And I thought to myself, the only time I'd ever really be willing to try weed again is if I take an edible. Because I don't want to mess up my lungs. And while, yeah, it could potentially hurt my brain, I'm only going to be only going to try it. You know what I mean? I'm not really going to go crazy, because I've never felt anything ever. And he told me he uses like small doses of weed or whatever. So he told me when we were in Jersey, he was going to let me try some. So that's exactly what happened. One night, we yapping, and he's like, yo, you want to try? And I'm like, bet. Pulls out this little weird little case, and they have some gummies. I take a bite, and he's like, you're gonna start feeling it in an hour or 3. It tasted good. It tasted like sweet. It was nice. And then I sat on the bed. I chilled there, and I just talked with him and listened to music, right? This whole time, I kind of felt normal. I felt regular. But then I came into this really crazy laughing fit, and I could not stop laughing for the rest of the night. And I kept saying to myself, I'm not high because I don't feel it, but for that whole night, I almost threw up with how crazy I was laughing, and then I fell asleep, and it was one of the best sleeps ever. That's basically all of the video, but I hope y'all enjoyed it. This is I don't know when I'm going to post this, but it's going to be soon. I should be coming out with a new blog soon. I don't know what it's going to be about, but it's going to be a new blog. And catch you guys later.